Make sure you're feeling all the outsides once we get everyone in.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, babe. I think Paula is right there. No, wait. I think she's in the green. I think. Paula! Hi!
You look right through here, you can see it.
See, it usually goes opposite. People
Know who this leads.
go with yourself. I'll deal with this. People usually do the opposite. They come in and find their favorite penguin, then get the artwork. So I hope you like Paula because you're already set in it. You're
Paula
already
right there in the
solid.
green.
All right, so some quick rules to go over before we get started. When I open the gate, I will hopefully have all the birds out of the way and you have a clear line to sit anywhere here on the benches. Where you sit during the encounter will not affect the quality of your encounter. Sit wherever you want, but there is space for everybody to spread out as much as you like. We just recommend sitting with your friends and family. That way when we take your photos throughout the encounter, you're together in those photos. Now when you come in and take a seat, once you're seated for the entire encounter. So pick your spot wisely and then take a seat. You will need to sit with 2 feet flat on the floor at all times. There is no negotiation here. The reason we do this is because if you're going to cross your legs, whatever you do normally, and a bird walks by, you might kick a penguin, which we obviously are trying to avoid at all costs. Now obviously, you got some little ones with you, their feet aren't going to reach the floor. That's fine. All we ask is that if you don't want your feet on the floor, or if your feet don't reach the floor, scoot a few inches back and cross your legs. Basically, the feet need to be above bench level the entirety of the encounter. Nothing dangling over the edge. This leads into the next rule, which is also the most important. This is what lets us do the fun stuff, like touching the penguins and getting photos with them. When you're sitting here, the birds will waddle around the room. They're going to do what they want. They live here. So they might stand between your legs, waddle across your feet or behind your legs. That's fine. We're going to let them do what they want. But that is not an invitation to reach down and touch them. You will have the opportunity to touch the penguins throughout the encounter, but it's up to Blake when and if you can do that. So the easiest way I can convey this rule is what I call the above the bench rule. Kind of in line with the legs thing. Anything that is not attached to your feet or legs should not be below bench level at any time unless Blake gives you the go-ahead to reach down and touch the penguins. Hands or fingers, don't reach down. If you have a camera or a phone, please feel free to take photo and video, but do not bring it down near the penguin's face. And if you have anything that dangles, purse or camera straps, whatever, just make sure it's not hanging over the edge. Because not all penguins like to be touched. You go and reach to touch the wrong penguin, you might get bit, which we're obviously trying to avoid at all costs. Now Blake will come around the room and let you touch the penguins, but there is a very simple, straightforward way we do this. He'll either bring the bird over to you and either hold the bird up or place the bird on the floor in front of you to let you touch. We always touch our animals here at the Newport Aquarium the same way, 2 fingers gently down the back towards the tail. Notice I'm staying away from her wings, her face, her beak, her feet. Those are her personal areas. She doesn't like that. And you go to touch that, she'll freak out, she might fall on the floor. We obviously want to avoid that. So just 2 fingers gently down the back towards the tail. If Blake lets the bird waddle away or moves on to the next person, just bring your hands back up above bench level until he makes another lap. He'll come around multiple times to let you touch different birds. Any questions about the rules before we get started? Excellent. Let me move the bird so we can let you come in and take a seat and we'll get started.
I bet that's Paula.
Slowly but surely.
No, just laying down.
Come on in. The floor is wet, kind of messy, so just watch your step.
She might stick around.
Which one's Paula?
So I'll introduce them all to you here in just a moment.
I'll sing for her. I think I got you.
Remember, feet can't be dangling over the edge. They need to be above bench level or flat on the floor. They're fine right there as long as it's not wiggling about. Comfortable, what have you. All right, so some quick introductions before we get started. My name is CJ. I'm the one that's been talking at you this entire time. I'm mostly here to answer any questions you might have and tell you more about how we care for these animals. Blake like Penguin Wrangler Extraordinaire. He's basically here to make sure the birds are doing what they're supposed to be doing, interacting, and giving you the opportunity to touch and have some fun. And then we always have a photographer here. I'll let her introduce herself.
I'm Caitlin. I'm going to be taking pictures today on the calendar. You'll see them in the gift shop, and you'll use the time that you can.
And after Caitlin uploads those photos, make sure you just stop by and tell them you're part of the 1 o'clock encounter. That way they bring up the proper photos from this encounter. Now you didn't come here to meet us, you came here to meet the birds. We have 8 of them. Some of you have already asked me to introduce you to some of our specific birds. I'll actually point out on the wall here, we have name tags that let you identify which bird is which on your own. So what you'll do is you just look at the name tag, it has 3 pieces of info. Name, pretty straightforward. Hatch date, which is when they were born. And then the color on the name tag actually corresponds to the band you will find on their wings. So if I want to know which bird this is, I'll look at her wings, see that she has a black band on, and know that that is Paula. You can do that with all of the birds up here. They are in descending order, Randy being our oldest and Sandy being our youngest. Randy, Paula, and Simon, named after the original American Idol judges. Almost no one gets that reference anymore. Green bean, red pepper, and blueberry came to us with just bands, no names, so we just use the colors of their band to expand to names. And Speckles and Sandy being our 2 youngest penguins. They are all same size, weight, height, so the only easy way to tell them apart are those bands. Now Blakey's going to come around and let you touch the birds. I just want to remind you, these are an endangered species. It's a very unique opportunity. Most people don't get to interact with the endangered species on a daily basis. These are African black-footed penguins. These come from the country of South Africa. They are what we consider a warm weather penguins. Some birds like warmer climates, Africa, South America, Australia. Some birds like colder climates, like the very southern tip of South America, or obviously Antarctica. Now when you touch them, they're going to feel quite soft and slick. They are covered in feathers, just like all birds are, but their feathers are very specialized to swimming. So whenever you touch them, you're going to notice there's hundreds, even thousands of feathers per square inch, and that's how they stay warm and dry underwater.
Oh, they are
so
soft. It's like
birds that
my one
fly
blanket
have
home.
very light, long feathers that help them generate lift. Penguins that obviously do not fly, instead need to insulate themselves because they spend about 8 to 10 hours a day underwater. When they're underwater, the water they're swimming in can be around 45, 50 degrees. It can be quite cold. So to stay warm, they have these black and white outer feathers, what we call guard feathers. Those are covered in an oil that actually keep them dry, just like geese or ducks.
They're so cute.
Underneath these black and white feathers that you're touching are really fluffy, warm feathers that we call down feathers. That's what actually
That is Simon. Ooh.
Now some birds will do what we call fluff and shake, like some of you saw there. The fluff and shake is actually a way for them to thermoregulate or cool down. Because
Oh, and I know
in
it's
warm
Sergeant.
climates, even temperatures like this, where it's relatively cool in here, they actually get too hot. Their natural body temperature is about 100 degrees. If they're standing on the beach and they're not in the water, they get a little bit too warm. Most people will be like, oh, well, they can go in the water and cool off. That's where all the predators live. If I told you there are a bunch of sharks out there waiting for you to come in and swim so that they can hunt you down, you're probably not going to go in the water to cool down. Instead, they do the fluff and shake, where they fluff up all of their feathers, let all the hot air out from underneath their feathers, let the cool air in, and then that shake is just to help them resettle the feathers where they're supposed to be. Some of you are noticing that Paula is slowly untying my shoelace here. Penguins are visual predators. When we play with our pets, dogs and cats, it's actually leftover remnants of the brain that tell them how to hunt. When dogs, as puppies, play with their litter mates, they're actually learning how to hunt. Same thing with penguins. When she sees my shoelace, chases after it, even nibbles at it, she's actually hunting. Her brain is telling her, that's just something that's moving, behaving like a fish, I'm going to chase at it and bite it. Now, you'll notice Blake does handle different birds at different times. Some birds he won't pick up, some birds he can pick up but won't leave on the floor. Things like that are because each bird in here does have their own distinct personality. They all have likes and dislikes. It's worth remembering that these are wild animals. When you deal with domesticated animals like pets and livestock, they've been bred to behave the way they do.
This is a cutie.
These are bred to be healthy and be genetically varied, basically related to each other. So, not all the birds like to be handled, not all the birds like to be touched. It's kind of a roll of the dice. So birds like Simon don't mind being picked up, where birds like Randy, despite being the same age and the same genetic line, they have completely distinct personalities.
You guys can touch her if you'd like.
Now it is kind of hard to tell, but they are varying sizes in weights. It's usually a variance of like a half a pound here or there, but mostly they're identical. Penguins are what we call monomorphic. Basically males and females are absolutely identical in every way. Everything that makes a boy penguin and a girl penguin different is internal. So I could bring the most world-renowned penguin expert in here and ask them to identify the male and female, and they couldn't do it any better than you can. They're also very social animals. You can see some preening behavior here, basically a way of them socially bonding, getting along, scratching each other's itch, so to speak. Even though we do have all females in here, they still form pairs, they still form bonding pairs. They obviously do not produce offspring, so those pairs don't really last very long, kind of like a Spanish soap opera here where they pair up and break up quite often. But because they are monomorphic, they look identical, male and female penguins basically pair up and break up until they find the right match. So sometimes two boy penguins or two girl penguins will pair up, obviously not produce any offspring, and then keep pairing up with other birds until they find out what works. So we always talk about penguins being monogamous and being this romantic ideal, but somewhat true. Two penguins pair up and produce offspring.